Great. Alrighty, everyone, come to order. The biggest mistake they'll ever make is giving me a gavel, so I hope you all enjoy it. So we'll begin this meeting with a prayer. April is Sexual Violence Awareness Month. So let us begin this meeting with a prayer to end all violence, especially sexual violence. We bring this prayer to Mary, Mother of God and Queen of Peace. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with you. Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Mary, can you get us started with roll call? This week we'll have our first roll call question, which is just, what is your favorite movie? It's just a nice thing to get us all together, I guess. Here. And my favorite movie is Dr. Strangelove.
My favorite movie is The Social Network.
Madeline Smith. Here, it's a tie between The Truman Show and Dead Poets Society. Daniel Silverhorn.
Here and probably Kicking and Screaming.
H. Woods.
Oh, she's on Zoom. And she says Lady Bird is her favorite movie.
Nolan Lyon.
Here, and my favorite movie is Dark Knight.
Miranda Colon. Here, and my favorite movie right now is 10 Things I Hate About You. Colin Hooray.
Here, what can I say, the entire Harry Potter series.
Christian Cologne.
Here, my favorite movie is
Patrick Gallagher.
But you might not be doing this.
Monica Barron. McLean Farrell.
Here, and my favorite movie is Lone Survivor.
Emma Epstein.
Here, I'm going to say The Princess Bride.
Solid choice.
Isabel Karen.
Here, my favorite movie is Kingsman: Golden Circle.
Cooper Schultz.
Here, The Cat in the Hat.
Benjamin Earhart.
Present, Star Wars.
Abraham Figueroa.
Here, I want to say the entire Jurassic Park franchise.
Madeline Kosubuki.
Here, I would say Clueless.
Mary Griffin. Ella McComas.
Here, I say The Shawshank Redemption.
Christian York.
Here, I think I gotta go with Inception.
Ryan Kearns.
Here, The Departed. It's my favorite movie.
Bianca Burnett.
She's on Zoom. Here, and Forrest Gump is her favorite movie.
Elizabeth Martin.
Here, I go by Lindsay, and my favorite movie is Pulp Fiction.
Veronica Sutton.
Here, Nikki Blue Eyes.
Elizabeth Gonzalez.
Here, and The Star is Born.
Michael Ducott.
Here, my movie is also The Departed, but 1B would be Shawshank.
Zachary Cortez.
Here, it's also Shawshank Redemption.
Will Kennedy.
Here, and Beautiful Boy and Parent Trap.
John Daly.
Here, my favorite movie is probably La La Land.
Ava Downey.
Here, Mulan.
Mary DeVille.
Here, I'd probably have to say The Longest Ride.
Henry Bates. Blake Johnson.
I'm here as a proxy for Blake. I'm Alex, and I'd say Back to the Future.
Paul Stoller.
Here, my favorite movie is Arrival. It's about like aliens.
Jacob Flowers.
Here, and my favorite movie is Imperfect.
Timothy Gallagher.
Here, and Forrest Gump.
Maggie Supi.
Here, Pride and Prejudice.
Connor.
2005. Sorry, that's an important question.
Connor Delaney. Alan Jonah.
Here, The Truman Show.
Madison Lehman.
Here, Legally Blonde.
Jack Polo. Elise Baston,
I'm here right now. It's on the waterfront, but I go back and forth.
Minu Selvin,
Here, and it's the South Park movie.
David
Here and it's Forrest Gump.
Caroline Turner,
Oh, Caroline's on Zoom.
Mabry Webb,
Here and the Lorax.
David Holmes,
Here and second for Inception.
Daniel Lau,
Here, Shrek.
Karen Kennedy,
Here and the American president.
Solid choices all around.
Caroline's favorite movie is Hidden Figures.
Oh, nice. So next we'll move on to the approval of minutes. Mary, for this, I will ask you to use mine, just so the folks on Zoom can hear.
so Alan and
You have
Matthew.
to turn. There you go.
Alan and Matthew were sworn in as student body president and student body vice president. All senators were sworn in. All executive cabinet officers and directors were nominated and confirmed, as well as the student union parliamentarian, judicial council vice president for elections, and judicial council vice president for peer advocacy.
Are there any corrections to the minutes? Just for clarification for everyone, in the future, we send out the minutes with the agenda on Tuesday, so you can come through if there's any misquotes that you see in there. You can raise those corrections here, but hearing no corrections for this one, we'll move right along to executive announcements. So the first announcement we have is actually an intro statement from Karen Kennedy, our fearless advisor.
Testing. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Karen Kennedy. I have waited till the second meeting to introduce myself to you. I know many faces in this room, but not all faces. So I serve as the advisor to Student Senate. And I thought it was important that you know who I am, as this old lady sitting in the front of the room, and also what my role is as advisor. So a little bit of background on me. For my day job, I serve as director of Student Centers, Activities, and Events here at Notre Dame. That means I oversee the Student Activities Office. Student Activities Office is responsible for everything related to our 500 clubs and organizations, to overseeing Duncan and Student Center, La Fortune Student Center, Stepin Center, and Washington Hall, as well as a couple other smaller buildings. We do a lot of programming, staff-led programming on campus, so lawns, lodges, a lot of the programming that you've seen that's happened this year and every year comes from our office. And then we also do some leadership programming, our big buckets. I am a Notre Dame alum, so I was sitting in your seat at one point many moons ago. I was actually very, very involved in student government. I was a science major, but it was my involvement in extracurriculars and in all kinds of things that led me to pursue a master's in higher education at Boston College, and then worked at BC for a number of years. And I returned to Notre Dame 9.5 years ago. I've worked in the Division of Student Affairs that whole time. So I'm in my third year in this office, but previous to this, I served as director of housing. And prior to that, I served as senior advisor to our vice president for student affairs. So I've sort of been around a number of places within student affairs at Notre Dame. My role as advisor, I think, is really 3 points. So I don't speak often in this meeting. I try not to speak. If those who've been around will know that. There are 3 times when I do speak, or when I certainly do work with senators outside of the meeting. The first of my 3 goals as your advisor is to do my very best to make sure you are following your Constitution. It is your Constitution, but it is my job to make sure, along with Madison and Matthew and others, to the best of our ability, that we are following that Constitution. The second role that I play is trying to help you write and pass the strongest legislation that you can. So when your resolutions are shared in advance with Madison and Matthew, I also review them, and you'll sometimes see that I put in comments about, like, hey, could you back this statement up? Or hey, have you talked to this person? And whatever it is, my goal is to help you have the strongest legislation that you can. One thing I will say to you early on is that a lot of resolutions can amend the Constitution, can do all kinds of things, orders can, but Many resolutions are often asking an office or a person who works at Notre Dame to do something. And I will tell you right now that if those resolutions come to me, I'm usually going to ask you, have you talked to that office? Have you talked to that person? The reason I do this is because I find that when you talk to someone before you write the resolution, 9 times out of 10, you end up with a much better result. That doesn't mean you're going to agree with that person. That doesn't mean that that office is going to say, oh, sure, yeah, we're going to do that tomorrow. But I find that the resolution actually has more weight to it when you have had the conversation and you understand what are the barriers. Why has the office not been doing that? Why does the person have concerns? What are those concerns? How could you make sure those are addressed in the writing of your resolution? It's not a requirement, but I strongly encourage it because I have found that that there more often than not yield very successful results when you do that, or at least reach out to the office. The other reason that I encourage that is because if you don't do that, an office will usually read about your request in the Observer. And think of yourself, if it's you, you're like, oh, why didn't you come talk to me? I would have been happy to talk to you about this. Instead of reading about it in the Observer, instead of actually having a productive conversation with a student who is asking and interested in something that I find. So if you ever have questions about who to contact, you'll often see that I'll put in there, hey, did you talk to anyone in this office? Did you try to reach out? And that's my goal. I think that students often speak about the sort of separation between the administration and students. And I think that there is on both ends to try there. And so I think that's something that you'll hear me ask of you. The third thing I will say is that every once in a while, I'll speak up if there is something that I am aware of as sort of a historian. So I've been here longer than you have, but I've not been here as long as many other people. But my 9.5 years, plus my time as a student, sometimes someone will say something and I'll feel the need to be like, ooh, I actually think I have to give you a little bit of history on that. I don't know everything. I can't be responsible for all the history of the University of Notre Dame or what student government has done over the years. But if I feel that I have something helpful to share about some history that you all might not know, that's likely the third time that you'll hear me speaking up in Student Senate. So any questions about my role as advisor? Okay, well that's probably the most I will ever speak in a Student Senate meeting. I almost guarantee it.
Thank you so much, Karen. Thank you again, Karen. And so moving right along, we have a new senator joining us tonight. So Ella McComas, if you'll wave to the Senate, was sworn in just before we met tonight and will be joining us for the remainder of our term as the McGlynn Hall Senator. So a warm Senate welcome to Ella. Last week we talked about it, but this week it's time, it's here. Please sign up to serve on an executive cabinet department. The link is here in the agenda to a quick Google form just to list out all of the departments. You just click on at least one, but as many as you're willing to serve on, and we'll connect you to those directors and hopefully get you moving in those departments when they start meeting. Please fill out that form by Tuesday evening so that we have a rough view of everyone that's going to be joining those departments and can start getting those emails out to those directors. A reminder that in last week's agenda, there was a link to a description of each of those departments if you still have any remaining questions. But yeah, that's that. Are there any questions on executive cabinet departments? Great. Moving on, just a quick reminder that I have office hours every Friday, noon to 2 p.m. in 203 La Fun. It's just on the second floor of the student government office. If you walk in the front door and keep walking straight, you'll run right into my office. So I just pull up in there, and I was able to meet a couple of you on Friday and have been setting up appointments outside of those hours. So I would really like to meet all of you by the end of the semester, but I understand that everyone's schedules are very busy this time of year. In addition, Alan Jomo, our fearless president, will be holding office hours 3 to 5? 3 to 5 in the same place, 203 La Fun. And if those times and places don't work for you, feel free to email either of us and we can set up appointments outside of those times. Any questions on that? Great, moving right along, I'll invite Madison down to give a second presentation in our series, our sort of orientation series, this one on resolution writing. Here you go, Madison.
And I'm going to share the screen.
Okay, hi guys, I'm Madison, the parliamentarian. If you don't know, we're not here. So I'm going to talk to you about writing resolutions and orders so that you can kind of get stuff done here. So, okay, sorry, this is a lot. So a resolution is a call for action. So that's something that the Student Senate declares to do or wants to see changed or implemented. And it requires executive approval. If the president, for some reason, doesn't sign it within one academic week, you need a 3/4 vote to override that. Orders are the next most common thing that you're going to use. Your resolutions will be the main tool that you use to speak to the administration. So orders are execution of explicitly stated powers of the Senate. So orders would include amendments. So in order to amend the Constitution, that also needs executive approval, but a 5/6 override if not signed. The establishment and implementation of fiscal policies is also of your purview. And this is all, you can see everything that's under the Senate's purview in the Constitution. So you also address and review allegations to the Student Union Ethics Commission. Hopefully you don't have any of those. You use the CLC to communicate with administrators. That'll be very important if you choose to use the CLC in a way that it can be used. You can review and approve nominations, establish election regulations, and determine additional duties to require other student union members. So you can order myself to have other duties, basically, and other people as well, not just me. So a letter, these aren't really used as often. I have not seen one, but it could be useful. It's an inquiry or point of information to the Office of Student Affairs. You basically request for an explanation concerning a newly adopted policy. So if you don't understand why we get the basketball rooms, but not something else, just an example, you may want to request that. But if you're doing that route and you want to talk to student affairs, I recommend the CLC route. Okay, so we kind of went over this last time, a little pop quiz. When do resolutions or orders of business really need to be submitted? Yes. Yes. Congratulations. Who must they be submitted to?
Matthew.
Fantastic. Okay. So yes, they must be sent to Matthew within 48 hours, but just do it by Monday night. If they're not, they won't be on the agenda. The only exception is if an item is not on the agenda that you wish to discuss at a particular meeting, you can vote unanimously to bring that order of business to general orders in that current meeting instead of waiting. Abstaining doesn't affect that. Both voting and non-voting members possess the right of agenda. Authors of resolutions get priority in terms of speaking, but the full Senate will have the opportunity to ask questions and debate. And then proxies must vote as instructed. We kind of went over that. Or you can have them vote by their own accord. So resolutions. The official statement made on behalf of the student body concerning a topic that requires change or discussion. When passed, resolutions are the main vehicle through which student government can talk to administrators about what needs to be updated on campus or communicate the vision of student government to their constituents, and commending individuals or groups on campus for being even more extraordinary than the average extraordinary donor. So examples would be commending Muffet McGraw for her service as the women's basketball coach, recognizing an NCAA or ACC championship team, requesting the Columbus murals to be removed. Those are just some examples. Orders constitute the execution of explicitly stated powers of the Senate. An amendment is an order calling for a change in the student union constitution. Typical amendments will look like changing references to different sections, fixing inconsistencies, which if you ever see any constitutional inconsistencies, just send me a quick email, please. Rewriting a phrase, subsection, or a section for clarity, or altogether repealing or adding a section or clause. Please try not to add. We're trying to get the Constitution smaller, not bigger. So other things, listing explicit duties of certain offices or assigning new roles. Example, making the parliamentarian do something that is not already listed. Creating new departments or positions, suspending uncontested elections. That is something that happens a bit more frequently. And completely changing a rule, which is not highly recommended. Okay, so these are the main steps that we're gonna go through. This is our little itinerary. So first things first, you should really use your position as a senator and use that role in your hall to talk to your constituents. But you should also reach out to administrators, as Karen said, that's really important. They tend to respond a lot better when you don't blindside them. Okay, so first, identify what you want to be changed or what you want to see done. Be very specific in your whereas clauses and your resolve statement. Brainstorm and ink down your complaints or problems with the current status. So this is just a brainstorm stage, get it all out, rant. Garner support, so talk to other senators, maybe find a department director head who has relevant knowledge on that. Just have other people to bounce ideas off of, and if you have more support on your resolution or order from the jump, then that'll just make it a bit easier to pass. Yeah, if your topics relate to a department, reach out to those directors, even if you're not necessarily on that department. Okay, so research and gather relevant information. Hard facts and numbers are always great. Find and use numerical data, and you can even link that, hyperlink. Oh yeah, or you can accumulate it yourself, but if you do that, I would run it by Karen first if you're going to be doing surveys or anything. Just get that approved by Karen before you send anything out, please. Yeah, if you want other information, department directors and administrators usually know where to find this as well. So you can ask Karen, maybe Matthew and Alan may have insight into where to look for that, so they can help you as well. And you want to present a logical argument, and these will become your whereas statements. So that's basically where you just list why you're bringing this to the table, why it's something relevant. Okay, and then explicitly define your objectives. So these are your resolve statements. This comes at the very end. So now officially to solve the issue, what do you want to have done? What do you want people to do about it? Be direct and to the point when making your requests, and use simple language and specific phrases. And if you're speaking to a specific office, make sure you list that office in the resolved. So this is a little example. You don't so much have to worry about this formatting. We'll get a template all together, but Matthew and myself can work on making it look finalized for Senate. You guys just focus on writing the resolutions and orders. So names go here, only explicit titles listed in the Constitution go here. So only if you have speaking privileges in the Senate or the right of agenda, I would say, would you put your name here? So your constituents can't have their names here. That gets into petition territory. So yes.
Do we include co-sponsors?
Yes.
So here, Thomas and Helena are co-sponsors, but if I decided to co-sponsor this, I could also just put my name under that. So there is a separate section for those.
Okay, so yeah, your title, a resolution to amend the Constitution. No. That would be an order to amend, sorry. Yeah, this is a little goofy, but yeah, in order to amend the Constitution, so SO or SS, so statement, resolution, order, authors with titles, yeah. Okay, yeah, you don't need to worry about that. And this is what a resolve statement looks like. Please avoid using further resolve. It's something that my predecessor asked for. It just looks better. You don't need to say further resolve, but if you do, it won't be that big of a deal. You want to address the appropriate bodies. So you're saying that the Student Senate recognizes the need, and so this specific bodies in here, I think, wait. Oh no, I thought it was Student Union Ethics Commission, but anyways, if you were talking to like student affairs, you would say student affairs in here, be very clear, and we can always help with specific language on making that sound like a resolve statement. Okay, so final check, please talk to myself and Matthew about writing all resolutions. Wording is very important, sometimes kind of difficult, and so the wording is just like super important in whether something is feasible or not, and whether like it will earn support, like even just like may versus shall, things like that. Yeah, so myself and Matthew will help number those correctly once you're finished, so don't worry about that. And then a nice strategy. So incorporate parts of the university's mission statement, spirit of inclusion, or any other authoritative document. I think that really goes a long way because you're almost using like the university's words against them, like pointing out like they're almost being like, you know, they're not following something that you think that they say that they're about. So that can be really nice to put in there. Okay, so amendments especially, this is really important. Before proposing them, they may be presented by any member of the Senate or through a campus petition, but you must meet with the Judicial Council President, which is David, and myself before officially proposing, just to make sure that it aligns with the Constitution, it'll go okay, all that. After proposing, you must receive a 2/3 majority of the Senate, and it must be signed by the student body president within 2 academic weeks. If it's vetoed, it'll be returned to the Senate, and I believe that you need a 5-6 override to have that amendment adopted. Yeah, there it is. That's just the Senate article talking about that. All right, so just some final things. Run each resolution through myself and Matthew. Make sure language is explicitly clear. Yeah, you're correcting someone else, so make sure someone else won't have to correct you. You can check out the Student Gov website. I'll be updating this every week. You guys don't have anything yet, but this is all here so you can see what's going on or what has been going on. I really recommend checking that out. And the Constitution mandates that at least 3 senators be elected to the Committee on the Constitution. I think we'll get to that later, but start thinking about if you'd be interested in that. Okay, so my goal is to help you out, is to have easy access to all your procedural and constitutional matters, meet individually with all senators to draft their first resolution. I'd be willing to do that. And have increased communication between senators and the parliamentarian. And I'm going to try to upload some forms, templates, and just some little helpful documents so that, you know, you kind of have a bit more resources to help you out in Senate. So yeah, this is from my predecessor. I just have to say that. Amendments keeping you up at night. You can text me or email me. The only thing that's off limits is definitely the Finsta. So yeah, but I really do love when you guys ask for my advice, and I'm super willing to help you. That's my job. It makes me happy. So please don't feel like you're bothering me. It makes me sad when you don't ask me, really. So that is all.
Thank you so much. Could you hand me that?
Oh yeah, so sorry.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Madison. So moving right along, our next order of business, wait, I guess, are there any questions for Madison about the presentation? If you have any, you have all of her contact information, so great. Moving right along, our next order of business is nominations. So I'm gonna ask Kate down, as well as the nominees. You can come down here if you'd like. You can sit in the front row until to wait for questioning and debate and all those good things. And Kate, once you get down here, I'll have you read out the letters. Ben,
Motion to hear the nominations and vote on them in block.
is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of hearing all of these nominations in block, which means we'll have one period of questioning and one period of debate on the full nomination. All in favor? All opposed? And all abstaining? In the eyes of the chair, the ayes have it, so the motion carries. We'll hear all of the letters at once. So here you go. Here, I'll give you the mic. So you'll just read through the questions, read through your letter. Read through the whole thing. Unless there's a motion to dispense with the reading of the letter. Christian.
I ask unanimous consent to reading the letters be dispensed with.
Is there any objection to dispensing with the reading of the letters? Basically, Kate won't have to read through her full document. Hearing none, the motion carries. So we will move right into questioning to Kate on the process and on your nominations. Are there any questions for Kate? Christian.
I yield to Mr. Keane Conway of Mount Hall to look at his questions.
Great.
Hi, Kate. So I think, I was the sub-rep for Duncan Hall this past year. I had some questions, largely fueled by my constituents about sub's general organization. And we met, and you seem like you're a great person to lead sub in the future. I just had a few questions that I wanted to ask you about how you're going to lead sub in the future, and that constituents in Duncan and Christian have indicated that they want me to ask. So the first would be about culture and sub's culture and how you intend to lead. When I entered sub, I felt, as a sub rep, I felt kind of pushed aside, as if sub reps were kind of like any other member of sub. And I was actually told that my job wasn't to represent my constituents to sub, it was to represent sub to my constituents. And I was actually told the word allegiance, that my first allegiance was to sub. And so I and other sub reps felt like I didn't really matter in my role as representing students. And so in my experience in sub generally was that it felt more like a club of students that wanted to hang out and organize than an organization committed to serving students. I heard the phrase "I love."
I'm sorry. Do you have a question?
Yes. So my question would be, how do you? So my question would be, how would you intend to actually focus the culture on serving the students in the best way possible? And then I have two really quick questions after that. The other one would be on the financial system and how sub reports its finances. I had to ask several layers of people about how sub spends its money to finally learn that sub actually has a report that the Financial Management Board reviews, and that would be public to students if I asked the Financial Management Board. And I'm just curious if you have any ideas for the Student Union Constitution to change to make it easier to access that information, because I had to ask several layers of sub officials to finally get the response that there is a report and that as a student I can access it. So just if you have any ideas about the Student Constitution in general. And then my last question is about this process. So I understand that there's a selection committee that chooses the next head of sub. And then once the head of sub is chosen, the directors are chosen after that. But my question is, do you think that it's fair that a small committee of sub leadership is appointing people to be approved, and that the other applicants that attempted to fill those director positions were never showed to the Senate? Because from what I can tell, it seems like it's a system where the people in sub are essentially choosing who they want to lead sub without the Senate actually getting a say into the other applicants and who would actually be the best that the Senate and the students want. It just seems like a system that's more about what previous leadership wants. So those are the three questions. How do you intend to change the culture? What are some suggestions about finances? And then do you think that this is a fair system to best represent the students in choosing sub leadership? Thank you.
Okay, cool. Thank you. And I appreciate you taking the time to sit down with your constituents in Duncan and bring these questions to the Senate and to my concerns. So let's take them one by one. The first one was about culture. So I think I would have to disagree with the culture question in terms of it's just a group of people that want to get together and plan events. I think all of our members have sub's mission in mind and want to make sure that sub is fulfilling its mission, functioning effectively and actively engaging the student body. And I think moving into next year, that is a huge priority of ours. And we've actually implemented a restructuring to make sure that all student voices within sub are heard and feel like they're being a part of the process. And to your point on the hall representatives, which is very well taken, we want to re-energize the role of hall reps. So what we'll be doing is adding either a pre or post meeting where we have sub reps are expected to come to the meetings, bringing all of their ideas and issues and concerns from their dorms directly to the e-board. So we'll be able to have a direct chain of communication, and then we'll also be able to communicate any of those ideas that you bring up to all of the relevant committees that they're for. And then does that answer your question about culture? Okay, cool. Number two was finances. Okay, so I can't speak directly to what the financial management board's position is because I think that's more of a student union institution, and that they're primarily in charge of dealing with that, but I can speak to sub's internal financial accountability. So moving forward next year, underneath the director of finance, we're implementing a financial analyst role and a strategy analyst role to make sure we're making data-driven programming decisions, using attendance numbers and analyzing return on investment or return on assets to see how much we're spending on events and if that is paying off so we can make better programming decisions in the future. Is that okay on finances? Okay, and then the third was about the selection process for the directors and for myself. So in my own interview, I know it was with the outgoing executive board, as well as Matthew and Alan both sat in that interview. So they were representing the student union. And I think because sub-representatives and directors are not an elected position, I don't think I'm not gonna, they were chosen because they have the experience. They have, we have a variety of perspectives. We have people within sub, without sub, people that have more experience in sub, people that went from phi sub, it's not, I would not say it's leadership choosing who they want. It's who is best going to fulfill the position and who's demonstrated they have a commitment to the student body and to serving the student body.
Thank you.
Are there any further questions? Abraham?
I feel like the constituents from Duncan stated on finances that the problem was that he had to go through multiple levels to actually have gain access to the reports. So how will you take steps to actually increase the accessibility and the transparency from sub-managed reports to the student body?
So I think we've implemented with the financial analyst and strategy analyst roles to make sure our internal accountability is functioning, and our director of finance is going to work with the financial management board to present those numbers and what we're getting within FMB. And then I don't know if I can speak to the general transparency of the student union finances, but that's in sub we are taking everyone's concerns that we've heard and making sure that we are communicating those as best we can.
Are there any further questions for Kate on the general process before this? Mina,
If I can add anything.
if you raise a point of information,
Oh,
just say point of information.
point of information.
Great.
Thank you, Matthew. I appreciate that. First of all, I love your passion. Secondly, how FMB works with the application process. So we have spring allocation, and each of the student union organizations, they present their budget, and each of the I like to compare it to a checks and balances system. So each of the other organizations are also in a way checking in on sub, and then they're evaluating each line of expense. And also to me, anything that does happen in FMB meetings are open. You can request that information, but it's at my discretion whether or not you can attend. And because we also review search ready applications and the information in those applications are confidential. Obviously, when we're presented those applications, a lot of the information is already redacted, but we have conversations about the application. So, most of the time, that's why we probably not keep those meetings open, but if we don't have applications to review, you're more than welcome to host those meetings.
Thank you very much.
Yes, but thank you.
Are there any further
There's some
questions?
office hours, sorry.
Oh, nice. Maybe that would be an announcement at the end of the meeting.
Yes.
Are there any other questions on the process? Particularly not finances. Finances are really germane to the process here. Hearing none, is there a motion to end questioning?
Yeah, motion and question, move to debate.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of ending questioning on Kate? All opposed? All abstaining? Fantastic. Kate, thank you so much. Now we will move on to questioning, I guess, each of the nominees in turn. So our first nominee is Matt Hall. Please come down. Just pass the mic over. Are there any questions for Matt Hall being nominated for co-director of programming? Paul.
I would like to know Matt Hall's favorite movie.
That's a good question. My favorite movie is Interstellar.
Solid choice. Any other questions? Hearing none. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? All opposed? And all abstaining? Fantastic. Thank you so much, Matt. Next, we'll be moving on to Lily, who is being nominated to serve as co-director of programming along with Matt. Any questions for Lily? Christian,
I ask unanimous consent to end questioning.
is there any objections? Hearing none, Lily, thank you so much. And we'll be moving on to questioning for Katie Fitzpatrick, who's been nominated to serve as Director of Operations. Are there any questions for Katie? Not everyone all at once. Christian,
I ask unanimous consent to end questioning.
are there any objections? Hearing none, we so move. Thank you so much, Katie. Next is Ava Bidner, who has been nominated to serve as Director of Publicity. Are there any questions?
I ask unanimous consent to end questioning.
Hearing no objections, we so move. Next is Jing Tong, who has been nominated to serve as Director of Art. Honestly, you can probably just stay. Are there any questions?
I ask unanimous consent to end questioning.
Hearing no objections, we so move. Thank you so much, Jing. And last we have Olivia Balser. How do you say your last name? Balser, great. Who has been nominated to serve as Director of Finance for the next term. Are there any questions for Olivia? Now would be the germane time to ask questions about finance. If you have any remaining.
I ask unanimous consent to end questioning.
Hearing no objections, we so move. Thank you so much, Olivia. Now, questioning is over. Is there a motion to move into debate?
Motion to enter debate on the nominations.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor? All opposed and abstaining? Great. Now that we're in debate, I have to ask you to leave the chamber. So, Kate, will you take them just outside the door, unless you have points of debate? You can come back in. Great. Thank you so much. Sorry for the long walk. We should get the Jeopardy music. And they are gone. Great. Are there any points of debate? Daniel. Is it? Okay. All those in favor? All opposed and abstaining? Great. We are now in voting procedure on the nomination en bloc for the sub-executive board. All those in favor of confirming the nominations? And all opposed and abstaining? Great. Congratulations to the new sub-executive board. I don't know if there's anyone. Feel bad that we're talking in the last year. And a round of applause. Do it again. Thank you so much. Congratulations, you've been confirmed unanimous. So welcome to the family. Moving right along, I'm going to yield or recognize Madison to come speak on the Committee on the Constitution as we hold our election. I don't know.
Thank you. Okay, so the Committee on the Constitution is tasked with a variety of things. We oversee the internal review and transition of the student union. We look at anything that the Senate recommends to us. We look at the Constitution, consider reforms, look at bylaws. It's actually really fun. So we need at least, constitutionally, we need at least 3 senators elected to ComCon. And we can have more. I'm willing to have up to 7. All you need is a majority vote. When I send out the form, you can vote for as many people as you want. You're not limited. So now I will be taking self-nominations or non-self nominations for the Committee on the Constitution.
Christian.
Nominate myself.
Great. Any other nominations to the Committee on the Constitution? Ben?
Also nominate.
Great. So we have Christian and Ben who have self-nominated. Any other nominees?
I have one big group.
I'm sorry?
I have a question.
Sure.
What are the specific meeting times and what's your responsibility?
So currently we are working on a meeting time. It's looking like Thursdays before Senate or another day. We have I'm going to be transparent here. Part of our issue on ComCon right now is that we had some upperclassmen or just some other people who now have different roles in the student union. So the things that like Matthew was going to be sending to us, I'm like scratching to get people to work on it. So I'm willing to work with people on meeting times. I would please ask not to have that like hinder you, because we can always work. Like the way that it works is like we only meet as an entire committee when we need to vote on something, but otherwise we work in subcommittees. So like those meeting times just depend on like that small group that decides to work together. I don't know if that answers the question.
All righty. Are there any more nominations to the Committee on the Constitution?
We need at least one more.
Also nominate
Zach?
Zach Cortez, right? Great. Any other nominees? Our committee is looking very masculine, I will say. If there's any representative from a women's hall.
Is anybody interested in constitutional reform, that 50-page document, getting it down to like something reasonable that you can actually read? You'd be leaving quite a legacy on this campus. Yes.
So I have a question and then I'll decide to self-nominate. What are the subcommittees?
So subcommittees just come up as things come up. So we've had like a subcommittee to work on the petitions article. We've had subcommittees to work on like sub bylaw review, Senate bylaw review, Judicial Council bylaw review. Then you look at like the constitutional articles and see if anything needs to be changed there. Last semester, the big 3 wanted to change the executive programming board. So that was referred to the Committee on the Constitution to look at, offer advice, opinions, and then it was brought back to the Senate. They did not take those recommendations, but that's beside the point. Yeah. Okay, what's your
Thank
name?
you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Any other nominees or a motion to end nominations? Yeah,
Cooper Scholl, I'd like to self-nominate.
great.
Faith Woods would like to self-nominate.
Hey, thank you.
And I'm sorry, I don't have last names on here, but so far we haven't had any repeats.
Any other nominees? So right now we have Christian, Ben, Cooper, Elizabeth, and Faith. And Zach. Great. Zach just left, but he's here in spirit. Any other nominees? Is there a motion to end nominations? Christian.
I ask unanimous consent to end the nomination process.
Hearing no objections, we're so moved, and we'll move into a period of voting. I believe Madison is posting into our agenda a link to a Google form, which you can use to vote. So yeah, the link is in there now. If you just click on elections to the Queen and Constitution, it should bring you to a voting form, and we'll open voting for a minute. Was that a minute?
That was 30 seconds to do it twice.
Is anyone having trouble voting that needs an extension? All right, we're already at a majority on everyone, so if there's no motion to extend voting, all of our nominees have been confirmed to the Queen and Constitution. Congratulations. I imagine Madison will be in contact very soon.
Yeah. I have to find.
Yeah, I'll give you everyone's.
Okay, everyone's emails, yeah.
Yep. Thank you all for nominating yourselves and for being willing to work on this important work. So now we'll move into general orders. We have 3 resolutions this evening. So I will begin reading our first of these, which is a resolution an order bestowing emeritus status on Rachel Engel. Is this in order? I don't think this is, but in order. So in order to bestowing emeritus status on Rachel Engel. Whereas Rachel Engel has served faithfully and dutifully the office of the University of Notre Dame Student Body President during the 2020-2021 term, putting forth her utmost efforts to advance the interests of the undergraduate student body. Whereas Rachel served as an unwavering advocate for the student body in her role by working to amplify the voices of every member of the Notre Dame community and accompanying the student body throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. Whereas Rachel used her role in the student union as student body president and through past positions as fuel director and Baden Hall vice president to build a more inclusive university. Whereas Rachel remained devoted to the overall student body experience and diligently committed to working with administrators to uplift voices in the student body, especially through her leadership of the Campus Life Council. Whereas it is clear that Rachel has served as a role model and friend to all of her constituents, and she has helped empower students to make change within the Notre Dame community. Whereas Rachel's role at the university extends far beyond that of student body president. Therefore, be it resolved by the Student Senate of the University of Notre Dame du Lac that the title of Student Body President Emeritus be bestowed upon Rachel Engel in recognition and appreciation of her dedication and service to the University of Notre Dame. And we have with us tonight, Rachel Engel. Are there any questions on this resolution? Christian?
I ask unanimous consent to end questioning and debate.
Great. Madison?
Can we get a friendly amendment to resolution?
Resolution? Great. I don't
I
have.
can't make that motion though.
Point well received, and I'll make the friendly amendment as a co-sponsor of the resolution. I don't have the Word document in front of me right now, but the friendly amendment is noted. All the co-sponsors agree, I imagine, and we'll change it before we publish it. Any questions? Oh wait, we asked unanimous consent. Hearing no objections, we are ending questioning and moving to debate. Are there any points of debate on the resolution? I will just say thank you, Rachel, for all of your service. It has been a hell of a year, and you really put your best foot forward throughout the whole term. So thank you so much for your service and leadership. Elise.
Yeah, I just want to mirror that. Rachel has been an unbelievable mentor to me in my entire time at Notre Dame, and I really appreciate all of her efforts, not only for people like me and for me, but also for the entire student body.
Yeah.
I came into this role not really knowing what I'm doing, and you were there to mentor me through it all. And I mean, we're still transitioning at the same time, but you're still there sending me texts, checking on me, and that means a lot. And then your service in the past year has been exemplary. I don't know what I would have done if I became president and COVID just started. So thank you so much for your service. Thank you for being flexible and always being there for each one of us as members of the student body.
Just as a point of information, the link should be changed on the agenda now, so it says resolution instead of order. If that link is broken for any reason, let me know. Any other further statements or points of debate on this resolution?
Motion and debate, move to vote.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? All opposed? All abstaining? Great. So we're now in voting procedure on the resolution. All those in favor of bestowing this title upon Rachel Engel, please raise your hand. All opposed and abstaining? Great. Thank you so much, and congratulations, Rachel.
Sure. All right, so next up we have a resolution bestowing a Meredith status on Sarah Galpensky. Whereas Sarah Galpensky has served faithfully and dutifully the office of the University of Notre Dame Student Body Vice President during the 2020-21 term, putting forth her utmost efforts to advance the interest of the undergraduate student body. Whereas Sarah chaired the Notre Dame Student Senate with thoughtfulness and joy, promoting active participation and open discussion among not only the members of the Senate, but also among members of the wider student body. Whereas Sarah utilized her role in the student union as student body vice president and her concurrent position on the faculty senate to promote the policy demands of the student body, especially in the area of Title IX rights. Whereas it is clear that Sarah has served as a compassionate student leader and has inspired the entire Notre Dame community with her sensitivity, humor, and care for Notre Dame. Whereas Sarah's role at the university extends far beyond that of student body vice president, therefore, be it resolved by the Student Senate of the University of Notre Dame du Lac that the title of Student Body Vice President Emeritus be bestowed upon Sarah Galpensky in recognition and appreciation of her dedication and service to the University of Notre Dame.
Thank you so much, Elise. Are there any, well, first of all, welcome Sarah as well. Are there any questions on the resolution?
I ask unanimous consent to end questioning today.
Hearing no objections, we so move. We are now in debate on the resolution. Are there any points of debate? Ben.
I just wanted to share real quick, going into the previous Senate term, as has been mentioned, it was right when COVID hit. Our very first meeting and swearing in was over Zoom. To say that the first several months, including at one point in the summer, was tumultuous would be an understatement. So I don't know how I would have handled that. I know that Sarah did an excellent job of transitioning into her role in these unique circumstances we found ourselves in. And then once we got back to campus, doing a fantastic job, bringing us together and helping us do the work that we did over the last year. So Sarah, I want to thank you. Thank you for being here. I want to commend you on all that you did to help me as a senator, help me as a student community leader, also as a student, but to help everybody else who's in set and who is a student here now. So thank you very much for all of it.
Well, you're welcome, Ben, and I'm excited to see you return as our second term senator.
Thank you so much, Ben. Are there any other statements, points of debate? Yes.
Yes. Hi, Sarah. Living a couple doors down from Sarah as a first year has been so wonderful getting to know you. And she's always made a dedicated effort to learn everybody's name, just not on the second floor, but all the freshmen all scattered around Walsh. And it's just been such a nice time getting to know Sarah, and she's just so nice, humble, kind, everything like a good friend, a good mentor, and a good person has. So I'm so excited to see what you do, and thank you for serving us.
Thank you.
I'm excited to see you step into the role of the Walsh.
Danny.
I just want to reiterate what Ben said and just saying thank you for the phenomenal job you did in the Senate last year. Like, I got thrown into Senate third week of the semester as a freshman, and I honestly did not know what the heck was going on, but she led us all through it and all the crazy times we had. And yeah, I just can't say it enough. I'm so blessed to be surrounded by role models like you and Matthew and all of you guys. And yeah, so thank you so much.
You're welcome, Danny. Another stellar second term senator.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd just like to echo what the letter says and what other people have said. I actually met Sarah when she was a freshman here, and she just really lights up a room and really brings joy. And every single time I have a conversation about or with Sarah, my sister, who is a senior here, she always says that Sarah's someone who's going to change the world. And I think that's been echoed here, and I just want to say thank you.
Well, thanks so much. We really appreciate it.
Great. Are there any other statements, points of debate? I will just say, Sarah, I had the distinct pleasure of serving under you in the Senate as well, and you brought joy every day to the Senate. Thank you so much for your time that you put in, your leadership and your service.
Thanks so much, Matthew. You're killing it.
Thank you. Big shoes to fill.
Yeah, I'll back that up and say that Sarah has an extraordinary ability to act intelligently and to perform well, but she has also an extraordinary capacity to be a friend.
Any other points, statements, Al?
Yes, Sarah, I met you for the first time sometime in January. But ever since then, I look up to you so much. First of all, just the way you speak, the eloquence that you bestow upon the Senate and just everyone else, it's something to look up to. But beyond that, the person you are, how hardworking you are, and how you care for people is remarkable. And it's definitely appreciated. And you deserve this honor for sure.
Any other points of debate on the resolution? Hearing no objections, we so move. We're now in voting procedure on the resolution. All those in favor of bestowing the title of Student Body Vice President Emeritus to Sarah, please raise your hand. I know I can't vote, but my heart is there. All opposed and all abstaining. Great. Congratulations, Sarah. My lovely co-sponsor read the third.
Okay, so this one's a resolution bestowing emeritus status on Aaron Benavides. Whereas Aaron Benavides has served faithfully and dutifully the office of the University of Notre Dame Student Government Chief of Staff during the 2020-2021 term, advancing both the interests and the health and safety of the undergraduate student body. Whereas Aaron was a friendly, approachable, involved, and compassionate servant in the student union, not only in the 2020-2021 term, but also in the 2018-2019 and 2019-2020 terms, demonstrating experience and dedication to the student union like few others. Whereas Aaron served as a selfless advisor, organizer, and friend to Student Body President Rachel Engel and Student Body Vice President Sarah Galpensky, especially in the difficulties of the year. Whereas Aaron worked tirelessly to mitigate the difficulties of the 2020-2021 term, which substantially shifted operations at the University of Notre Dame. Whereas Aaron used his role in the student union and his numerous other involvements on campus to create an inclusive and welcoming environment for all. Whereas Aaron's role at the university extends far beyond that of Chief of Staff, now therefore be it resolved by the Student Senate of the University of Notre Dame du Lac that the title of Student Government Chief of Staff Emeritus be bestowed upon Aaron Benavides in recognition and appreciation of his dedication and contribution to the University of Notre Dame.
Thank you so much, Elise. Are there any questions? Christian?
I ask unanimous consent to end question in this debate.
Hearing no objections, we so move. We're now, bless you. We're now in debate on the resolution. Are there any points of debate? Christian?
Aaron, you are a fellow resident of Duncan Hall and also a member of my section. I rarely cross paths with you, which is kind of funny. But I think I see when you have all the highlighters when you say that we thank you and we're proud of you for all the service you've done, especially as a chief of staff and as a member of the government. And I'd like to yield to Keith Conway this mutual sentiment as well.
Yeah, and I'm not extremely involved in student government, but I can certainly vouch to your character around Duncan, around the communities that you're involved with, and you're just a blessing to have. I'd say I stopped by one meeting. I was in your pod the other day. We were talking, and I think you're an outstanding guy. And I also love the fact that you really invited everyone to try to be more in the area. Everyone that I know, you really invited everyone to try to be more active in student government and try to be more involved. And I think that is really important, and it shows that you really care about student government and these organizations as mechanisms to make student life better. So just as a private citizen, well, technically I'm a lame duck suburb, but as a private citizen right now, you represent, I think, the best in student government and student leadership. So
Thank you so much. Any other statements, points of debate? Elise?
I just have to say, like, I have really big shoes to fill after Aaron filling this role. And Aaron has really worked to help me enter and kind of feel comfortable here. But also Aaron has been someone that I've really looked up to in student government, especially through all of his dedication the entire time that I've been in it, which I think is just as long as he's been in it. But honestly, he could have been in it for a decade. He has so much experience. I think Aaron is a funny, approachable, and kind person. And I think that is reflected in his work. So you kind of take the dual parts, work and deeds, and faith and deeds and all that stuff. And Aaron has all of it. That's just what I want to say.
Any other points of debate? Alan?
So first of all, Aaron's from Texas, so that should give him anything that he wants. But beyond that, Aaron, our first interaction, you probably don't remember this. You sent me 2 emails when I was a Stanford Hall senator asking to take pictures of me. The first one was let me take a picture of you. And the second one was a follow-up because I didn't respond. And I never did have a photo in the Senate website because I never responded. But that's the sort of person he was. He follows up and he works hard in order to ensure that the work gets done. And as I've been reading up on you, Aaron, I got bored and I started reading biographies because I had to write one. And I was really struck by how much you've dedicated to the student body ever since your first year. And so that's just something special. And Notre Dame is a place that it is because of people like you, in the sense of better and improved since 2017. Yeah, 2017. So, and it was really appreciate you for your service, and you deserve this honor for sure.
Any other statements, points of debate? Well, for my part, as the previous delegate said, we rarely cross paths because no one can keep up with you. It seems like you're always doing the most for everyone, and you're truly an inspiration in that regard. So thank you so much again for the incredible amount of time you put into this community and serving the student body. Avery?
I ask unanimous consent to end the meeting with your vote.
Without objection, we so move. We're now in voting procedure. All those in favor of bestowing the title of Student Government Chief of Staff Emeritus to Aaron Benavides, please raise your hand. And opposed? And abstaining. Great. Thank you so much and congratulations, Aaron. Next, we will be moving on to new business. So this is just something to put on your radar. Next week, we'll be having a discussion on welcome weekend changes. There's been some changes to the amount of people who are going to be commissioners for welcome weekend. I just wanted to broadcast this to you all so that you can talk with your constituents. For our part, we've instructed our co-directors of student life to meet with Lauren Donahue and members of the students on the Welcome Weekend Steering Committee, so that we have a better picture of what's actually happening, and so that we can report to you all and start that discussion. Hopefully, if things come about, that might lead to a resolution later down the line. Next, we have announcements. Do we have any announcements coming up? David.
Hey everyone, don't endorse off-campus council candidates. Thank you.
Short and sweet. Thank you very much. Any other announcements? Is Dream Hostel still happening?
Oh, yes. Dream Hostel is still going on. Tonight, we are finishing up karaoke, and there's a pizza cafe, a lot of performers tonight. And then tomorrow, there's a secret event dropping at midnight, so you can check us out on Instagram. And then we also have Inception playing in the stadium, and I'm pretty sure somebody said that they were doing Inception, so check it out.
Nice. Thank you so much, Kate. Also, by the time we will have met next week, it will be Earth Day. And I believe Sustainability Fest is being put on. Do you know the details?
Yes, all I know is the Sustainability Fest is on the 23rd, so Friday, 4/23.
Yeah.
At 4 p.m. Sorry, might be 6 p.m.
We'll get more information and get back to you.
2 seconds I can have this for you.
Great.
On the 23rd, it is at 4 p.m.
Great. Thank you so much, Alan.
Faith Woods is in the chat. She says, please get some tickets for Show Some Skin available to reserve in the student shop for next weekend. They're happening at 4 different locations and they are free.
And if I'm not mistaken, student shop is online, so you can play those.
Yeah, that's on the
online.
internet.
Any other announcements? Yes, Cooper?
Official regatta is next Saturday, April 4th. So if you want to promote that to your constituents, either sign up with boats, the registration link is out, or to donate, both of which are open.
Got a regatta. Any other announcements? Yes.
Going off that, the Lewis Hall LHOP is this Saturday. We're sponsoring the Northern Indian Food Bank, and it's unlimited food from the skillet, so like breakfast food. So you can sign up ahead of time, or it's on North Pod. You can come and just pay then, or you can sign up ahead of time.
Great. Thank you so much. Any other announcements? Is there a motion to adjourn? Christian?
I move to adjourn.
All those in favor of adjourn?